Have you ever found yourself drained from trying to help someone who just doesn't want to change? I have. It feels like standing by the edge of a river, holding out a life preserver, while the person in the water refuses to grab it, insisting they're fine, even as they struggle against the current. And there you are, wondering why you've taken it upon yourself to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Buddhism has taught me a powerful truth about compassion. It's not about giving endlessly, especially when that giving only feeds someone's unwillingness to grow. Real compassion requires wisdom. It's knowing when to step back, when to let go, and when to allow someone to walk their own path, even if that path is difficult. Today, I want to share 10 types of people you shouldn't waste your energy on. These lessons aren't about withholding kindness, but about practicing mindful compassion, giving where it can truly help while protecting your own peace. And trust me, the last one might just change how you see your role in helping others. But before we get into it, let me tell you a story from my own journey, one that shaped how I view these moments of struggle. There was a time in my life when I thought I could save everyone. I believed that if I gave enough, my time, my energy, my advice, it would make a difference. Then I met someone who changed my perspective forever. His name was Ravi. He lived in my village, and everyone knew him as someone who always seemed to be in trouble. One day, I saw Ravi sitting alone near the edge of a pond, looking defeated. Compassion moved me to approach him. "What's troubling you, Ravi?" I asked. He sighed heavily and told me about his struggles, debts, failed relationships, and a feeling of hopelessness that seemed to follow him everywhere. My heart ached for him. I wanted to help. "Come," I said. "Let's work through this together. I can show you ways to ease your suffering." Over the next few weeks, I tried everything. I taught him simple meditation techniques to calm his mind. I shared stories of the Buddha's teachings, hoping to inspire him. I even helped him with practical solutions, like finding small jobs to earn money. Each time he would nod, seeming grateful, but he never followed through. One day, I saw him again by the pond, exactly where I had found him weeks before, his troubles seemingly unchanged. "Ravi," I said gently, "I've offered you tools to help yourself. Why haven't you used them?" He looked at me and shrugged. "It's too hard," he said. "Besides, maybe someone else will come along and fix things for me." It was in that moment I realized the truth. I was more invested in his change than he was. My efforts, though well-meaning, were not what he needed. Ravi wasn't ready to take the first step for himself, and until he was, no amount of my help would make a difference. The Buddha teaches that each of us must walk our own path. No one can walk it for us. Compassion isn't about forcing someone to change. It's about meeting them where they are, and sometimes letting them find their way in their own time. From that day on, I vowed to approach helping others differently. I still offer kindness and guidance, but I've learned to recognize when my efforts are better spent elsewhere. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing we can do is step back and let others learn their own lessons. That experience taught me one of the hardest lessons about compassion. Now, let me share what I've learned about the types of people who will drain your energy if you let them, and why sometimes the greatest kindness is knowing when to walk away. 1. The resistant to change. In this life, I have encountered many who cling to their suffering as though it were a precious treasure. They hold tightly to their pain, not because it brings them joy, but because it is familiar. It is like a person carrying a heavy stone in their arms, unwilling to put it down, even though it exhausts them. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, and yet so many of us refuse to release the very things that cause us pain. You may recognize this person in your life. Perhaps you have offered them guidance, shown them the way toward a brighter path, or shared wisdom that could ease their burdens. But instead of taking even a small step forward, they remain rooted in their suffering. They tell themselves stories. This is just the way things are, or change is too difficult. They resist not because they cannot change, but because they fear what lies on the other side of transformation. As much as we may wish to help, we must remember a central Buddhist teaching: you cannot walk the path for another. The Eightfold Path is open to all, but each person must choose to take the first step. Compassion does not mean forcing someone to change. It means respecting their journey, even if they choose to remain in the shadow of suffering. When you encounter someone resistant to change, offer your kindness, but protect your peace. Let them know you are there when they are ready, but do not let their refusal to grow pull you into their suffering. Instead, practice equanimity. Hold space for their process without attachment to their outcome. In this way, you honor both their freedom and your own. 2. The manipulator. There are those who see your compassion not as a gift to cherish, but as an opportunity to take. They exploit your kindness, spinning tales of need and desperation, not because they seek growth, but because they seek to gain something. The Buddha spoke often of those who are ruled by greed, and the manipulator is a prime example. They are like a person who borrows water from a well, but never bothers to return the favor or dig a well of their own. Manipulators are skilled at weaving webs of guilt and obligation. They might say things like, "You're the only one who can help me," or "If you don't do this for me, I'll be lost." They play on your empathy, making you feel as though their happiness or survival depends on your actions. But remember, true compassion does not enable dependency. It empowers growth. In Buddhism, we are taught the importance of discerning wisdom. This means understanding when your actions are truly helpful and when they merely perpetuate harm. If someone continually takes from you without making any effort to change or improve, they are not benefiting from your kindness, they are abusing it. To address a manipulator, first set clear boundaries. The Buddha reminds us that while compassion is infinite, our energy is not. You can be kind without allowing yourself to be drained. Encourage them to find their strength, to look inward for solutions rather than outward for rescue. If they refuse, it is not a failure on your part. It is simply a reflection of their readiness, or lack thereof, to embrace the path of self-awareness and growth. Remember, your compassion is a sacred gift. Use it wisely and offer it to those who are ready to transform. For those who are not, let go with love and trust that they too will find their way in time. 3. The perpetual victim. There are those who walk this world with a story they cling to tightly, that life is unfair, that everything and everyone conspires against them. They are the perpetual victims, individuals who see their suffering not as a result of their own actions or perceptions, but as a punishment dealt to them by the universe. They point fingers at others, their upbringing, their environment, their relationships, blaming external circumstances for their struggles while refusing to look within. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from craving and ignorance, and that we must take responsibility for our own liberation. Yet, the perpetual victim often chooses to dwell in samsara, the endless cycle of suffering, because it feels easier than facing the truth. They reject the power they have to change their own reality, preferring the comfort of their grievances over the discomfort of growth. You may have encountered such a person. They may come to you seeking advice or help, recounting their tales of woe. But no matter how much wisdom you offer, they remain stuck in the same place, unwilling to take even a single step forward. Every solution you suggest is met with a reason why it won't work. Every opportunity is dismissed as too difficult or unfair. In these moments, it is essential to remember the Buddhist teaching of right effort. You cannot pull someone from the current of their suffering if they are determined to stay. True compassion means recognizing when your energy is being wasted and redirecting it toward those who are ready to embrace change. When dealing with a perpetual victim, practice equanimity. Offer your support, but do not attach yourself to their outcome. If they are not ready to take responsibility for their life, that is their path to walk. Your role is not to carry their burdens, but to guide them toward the tools they need to release them. If they choose not to use them, bow to their journey and move forward with peace. 4. The narcissist. In this life, I have met those who seem to radiate confidence and charm, yet beneath the surface lies a deep hunger for attention, for validation, for the approval of others. These are the narcissists, individuals who crave the spotlight but have little interest in the well-being of those around them. They are like a flower that draws all the sunlight to itself, leaving none for the garden to thrive. A narcissist will often seek your help, not because they value your wisdom, but because they see it as another way to center themselves. They may nod along as you offer guidance, but their attention is not on your words. It is on how they appear to others. They want to be seen as the hero, the one who is admired, yet they rarely act from a place of genuine care or self-awareness. The Buddha taught the importance of humility and selflessness, of seeing beyond the ego's constant demands. The narcissist, however, remains trapped in the illusion of self-importance, unable to perceive the interconnectedness of all beings. They resist growth because it would require them to let go of their attachment to the self-image they have constructed. When you encounter a narcissist, it's vital to protect your own peace. Do not pour your energy into a vessel that will never be filled. Instead, practice the Buddhist teaching of right mindfulness. Be aware of their patterns without judgment and set firm boundaries to prevent your compassion from being exploited. You can show kindness without becoming entangled in their web of self-centeredness. Encourage them to look within, to seek the deeper fulfillment that comes from genuine connection and humility. But if they resist, let go with love. The narcissist's journey is their own, and they will only grow when they are ready to face the emptiness within. Remember, your time and energy are sacred. Offer them freely to those who will nurture and respect them, and do not hesitate to step away from those who drain without giving in return. 5. The time waster. There are those who constantly seek your help, appearing to value your guidance, but in reality, they remain in the same place no matter how much effort you invest in them. These are the time wasters, individuals who drain your energy by asking for advice, yet fail to take any meaningful action. They come back again and again, seeking new solutions to the same problems, yet they never follow through. In Buddhism, we're taught to cultivate compassion, but also wisdom. The Buddha advised us to use our discernment when offering our time and effort, ensuring it is not wasted on fruitless endeavors. A time waster often represents someone trapped in a loop of inaction. They may enjoy the comfort of being heard or the validation that comes from your attention, but they are not ready to take responsibility for their own growth. You may find yourself drawn to help them, especially if you see their potential. But over time, their repeated failure to act can lead to frustration and even resentment. It's essential to recognize when your efforts are no longer constructive. As the Buddha taught, attachment to outcomes, especially when helping others, leads to suffering. When dealing with a time waster, practice right intention and set boundaries. Offer your guidance once or twice, but make it clear that the responsibility to act lies with them. Remind yourself that compassion does not mean enabling someone to remain stagnant. True compassion sometimes requires stepping back and allowing them to experience the consequences of their inaction. Letting go of a time waster can be challenging, especially if you care deeply for them. But by doing so, you preserve your energy for those who are truly ready to grow. Your time is a precious resource. Use it wisely and dedicate it to those who will honor and value it. 6. The non-listener. Some people seek advice, but not to truly hear it. These are the non-listeners, individuals who come to you for guidance only to dismiss or ignore your words entirely. They seem open to change, yet they cling to their familiar patterns, unwilling to step out of their comfort zone. For the non-listener, seeking advice is often an act of going through the motions, rather than a genuine desire to transform. In Buddhism, we are taught to embrace right speech, to offer words that are kind, truthful, and beneficial. But the Buddha also emphasized that our words must fall on ears that are ready to listen. When you speak to a non-listener, it can feel like pouring water into a broken cup. No matter how much wisdom you share, it leaks away unnoticed. Non-listeners may seek you out because they value your presence or feel comforted by your attention, but they are not ready to accept the responsibility that comes with your advice. They often resist change, finding excuses or reasons why your suggestions won't work for them. They may even nod along in agreement, giving the appearance of understanding, but their actions, or lack thereof, tell a different story. When faced with a non-listener, practice mindful detachment. Offer your advice once, and then let go of the outcome. Do not repeat yourself or invest excessive energy trying to make them understand. As the Buddha taught, suffering arises from attachment, and holding on to the hope that they will change can only bring frustration. Instead, redirect your efforts toward those who are truly receptive. Understand that the non-listener's journey is their own, and they may not be ready to hear what you have to offer. By stepping back, you allow them the space to learn their lessons in their own time. Sometimes, silence is the most profound teacher, and the absence of your voice may eventually guide them to find clarity within themselves. 7. The dramatic. The dramatic are those who seem to carry a storm cloud wherever they go, thriving on chaos and negativity. Their lives are often a revolving door of crises, whether real or exaggerated, and they seem to take comfort in the attention their drama generates. For them, the narrative of despair is endless, and they rarely seek solutions, preferring instead to relive and retell their problems. In Buddhism, we are taught the importance of equanimity, maintaining balance and calm amidst life's inevitable challenges. The dramatic individual challenges this principle, pulling others into their emotional whirlwinds and disrupting inner peace. They often seek validation through their stories, and though they may initially appear to be asking for guidance, what they truly desire is an audience. When helping someone who thrives on drama, it's crucial to recognize when your involvement is no longer productive. The Buddha taught us to act with compassion, but also with discernment. Listening to their endless tales of woe can lead to emotional exhaustion, and becoming entangled in their negativity risks pulling you off your own spiritual path. To navigate interactions with the dramatic, practice mindful detachment. You can offer support by listening with empathy, but avoid becoming overly invested in their stories. Resist the urge to offer endless advice or solutions, especially when they show no inclination to act on them. Instead, gently redirect the conversation toward positive steps they might take, and if they resist, know when to step away. Remember, true compassion does not mean absorbing the pain of others. As the Buddha taught, we cannot carry the burdens of the world on our shoulders. We can only guide others toward a path of clarity and peace. Sometimes, the best way to help a dramatic individual is by setting boundaries and allowing them to face the natural consequences of their actions. Protect your inner peace and let your presence be an example of calm in their storm. 8. The ungrateful. The ungrateful are those who accept help without acknowledgement or appreciation, treating your efforts as an entitlement rather than a gift. They may come to you with open hands and hearts, seemingly in need. But their response to your generosity is often indifference, or worse, criticism. For them, your support is expected, not cherished. In Buddhism, gratitude is considered a cornerstone of a harmonious and mindful life. The Buddha often spoke of the importance of appreciating the efforts of others, recognizing the interconnection that sustains us all. Ungrateful individuals disrupt this balance, leaving you feeling unappreciated and disheartened. Dealing with the ungrateful requires cultivating right intention. Help them not for acknowledgement, but because it aligns with your values and compassion. However, it is also important to recognize when your assistance is enabling their sense of entitlement. Repeatedly offering support to someone who never appreciates it can drain your energy and diminish your sense of joy in giving. To address this, establish clear boundaries. Reflect on the intention behind your help and whether it is truly making a positive impact. If their lack of gratitude weighs on you, it is not unkind to step back and redirect your energy toward others who value and reciprocate your kindness. In Buddhism, helping others should foster mutual growth and understanding, not become a one-sided transaction. Lastly, let go of the expectation of thanks. The Buddha taught that attachment to outcomes, such as seeking recognition, leads to suffering. Help from a place of pure compassion and let the act itself be its own reward. By doing so, you free yourself from disappointment and maintain your sense of peace. For the ungrateful, the best lesson often lies in the absence of further help, which may encourage them to reflect on the value of what they have taken for granted. 9. The dependent. The dependent individual leans on others for every aspect of their life, refusing to cultivate their own strength and independence. They come to you not just for occasional support, but as a constant source of guidance, solutions, and even emotional sustenance. While initially this might seem like an act of trust, over time it can reveal an unwillingness to take responsibility for their own growth. In Buddhism, we are encouraged to recognize our innate potential for self-reliance and enlightenment. Each person has the ability to walk their own path, and while guidance can be offered, it is ultimately their steps that must carry them forward. Dependence on others prevents growth, both for the dependent person and the one they lean on. Helping a dependent person requires mindfulness and boundaries. It is natural to want to support someone in need, but when that support becomes a crutch, it hinders their progress and depletes your own energy. Reflect on the Buddha's teaching of right effort, which reminds us to act in ways that promote balance and harmony, not burden or stagnation. Encourage the dependent individual to develop their own strength. Instead of solving their problems, guide them toward finding their own solutions. Ask questions that inspire introspection. What do you think you could do in this situation? What steps can you take to address this? This approach fosters their independence and helps them see their own capabilities. It's also important to practice detachment with compassion. Understand that their reliance on you may stem from fear or lack of confidence, but you are not responsible for their growth. Offer your wisdom, but let them choose whether to act on it. Sometimes, stepping back is the most loving thing you can do, as it allows them the space to discover their own strength. Remember, as the Buddha taught, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Empower them to take their journey while preserving your own peace and energy. 10. The denier of reality. The denier of reality lives in a world of their own making, refusing to acknowledge truths that challenge their perceptions. Even when presented with clear evidence or compassionate guidance, they cling to their illusions, rejecting any effort to bring them clarity. Their resistance to reality creates a barrier to growth and often leaves those who try to help feeling frustrated and powerless. Buddhism teaches us to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. The practice of right view, one of the Eightfold Path's foundational principles, emphasizes the importance of understanding reality with clarity and acceptance. For the denier of reality, this wisdom is difficult to embrace, as they are often deeply attached to their beliefs or fears. Engaging with someone in denial requires great patience and equanimity. Understand that their resistance often stems from fear of change, fear of loss, or fear of confronting painful truths. Instead of confronting them directly, approach with compassion and subtlety. Ask questions that encourage self-reflection, such as, what would happen if you considered this possibility? How does holding on to this belief serve you? It is also crucial to recognize your own limitations. As the Buddha taught, we cannot force others to awaken. We can only guide them gently and with kindness. If the denier remains resistant, accept their journey without attachment to the outcome. Detach from the need to fix them and focus on preserving your own peace. Finally, model the clarity and acceptance you wish to see in them. Your grounded presence can serve as a quiet example, showing that embracing reality is not something to fear, but a path to freedom. Sometimes the greatest lesson you can offer is simply living the truth, allowing them to see its benefits through your own actions. In the end, remember that not everyone is ready to face the truth, and that is their choice. As the Buddha taught, the truth is not always comfortable, but it is always liberating. Offer your wisdom, but let go of the need for them to accept it. Their awakening will come in its own time, if and when they are ready.